Welcome to the deep dive. If you're working your way through the CFA program, you definitely know that technical stuff is key, but there's something just as vital we're tackling today.
Absolutely. We're talking about the CFA Institute Code of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct.
Exactly. Think of it as the rule book, or maybe the moral compass for doing things properly in the investment world.
That's a good way to put it. These aren't just suggestions. They're really the bedrock values of the CFA Institute. They're why investors trust professionals with the CFA designation.
And they've been around a while, haven't they? Since the 60s.
That's right, constantly refined. And they're recognized all over the world as sort of the gold standard for ethical behavior in finance.
And let's be clear, this isn't like optional reading. If you're a candidate or you already have the charter,
You're bound by these, period.
and the consequences for, messing up, they can be pretty serious.
Oh, definitely. We're talking potential revocation of your membership, your candidacy, even losing the right to use the CFA designation itself. So yeah, getting this right is critical.
Okay, so our plan today is to make this as clear and useful as possible. We'll start high level with the Code of Ethics, those 6 main principles.
Right. And then we'll drill down into the specific standards of professional conduct. We'll cover professionalism, market integrity, duties to clients, employers, how you handle analysis and recommendations, conflicts of interest.
And your responsibilities just by being part of the CFA community. Basically everything.
We'll try to simplify, use plenty of examples, make it stick for your exams and, for your actual career down the line.
Perfect. Let's jump in the big picture first. The CFA Institute Code of Ethics, 6 core ideas. What's number 1?
Okay, the first one is really about your overall conduct.
Mm-hmm.
It says members and candidates must act with integrity, competence, diligence, respect, and crucially, in an ethical manner with everyone involved in the global capital markets.
All right, integrity. That's honesty, right? Being straight with people.
Exactly. Competence, knowing your stuff, keeping your skills sharp. Diligence, being careful, prepared, timely.
Respect, treating everyone professionally.
Mm.
An ethical manner is the big umbrella, isn't it?
It really is. Think about presenting to a client. Integrity means giving the full picture, warts and all. Competence means you've actually done the analysis.
Diligence means you're prepared, you're on time. Respect, you listen to them. And ethically, you're putting their interests first. It all ties together.
Precisely. Now, the second principle reinforces that last point. You must place the integrity of the investment profession and the interests of your clients above your own personal interests.
Okay, so this is the classic fiduciary duty idea, putting clients first.
Absolutely. If you find a great personal investment, but it clashes with what's right for your client's portfolio,
Yeah, let's just step back.
you prioritize the client. You might have to pass on that personal opportunity. It's about avoiding that conflict.
Got it. Principle number 3.
This one's about using your head. Use reasonable care and exercise independent professional judgment when you're doing investment analysis, making recommendations, taking action. All professional activities, really.
So no shortcuts.
Yeah.
No just blindly following what someone else says.
Right. You need to do your own homework, form your own opinions based on solid reasoning, use your professional expertise for every decision.
Makes sense. Number 4.
Number 4 is about promoting ethics more broadly. You need to practice and encourage others to practice in a professional and ethical manner that reflects credit on yourself and the profession.
So it's not just about me, it's about the environment I'm in.
Exactly. It's about upholding the reputation of the whole profession. Maybe mentoring a junior colleague on an ethical dilemma, for instance.
Principle 5 takes it even wider, doesn't it?
It does. This one's about the markets themselves. Promote the integrity and viability of the global capital markets for the ultimate benefit of society.
That sounds big, but it has practical sides,
Like reporting suspicious trading activity if you see it. Anything that could harm market fairness or efficiency falls under this. You have a role in maintaining that trust.
Okay. And the last one, number 6.
This brings it back to personal and professional growth. Maintain and improve your professional competence and strive to maintain and improve the competence of other investment professionals.
Lifelong learning, basically. And helping others learn, too.
Yep. Keep up to date, share what you know. It's about lifting the whole profession's standards.
Okay, that covers the 6 principles of the Code of Ethics. A really strong foundation. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty with the standards of professional conduct. Section I, professionalism.
Right. And the first standard here, IA, is knowledge of the law.
Simple enough title.
The core idea is simple. You need to understand and comply with all the laws, rules, regulations, and importantly, the CFA code and standards themselves that apply to your professional activities.
So whatever country you're in, whatever regulator applies,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know those rules.
Correct. And here's a key testable point. If there's a conflict between, say, local law and the CFA standards,
You follow the stricter one.
always follow the stricter one. And critically, you can't knowingly participate or assist in any violation. If you know something's wrong, you have to step away, dissociate from it.
Okay, example time. Let's say a law requires a 2-day trading blackout after some news, but your company policy says 3 days.
You follow the 3-day policy, it's stricter.
And if you saw a colleague doing something that looked like insider trading?
You can't just ignore it. You need to dissociate. Maybe that means not working on that project, reporting it internally, or even to regulators, depending on the situation and firm policy. You can't be involved.
Got it. What's next under professionalism? IB.
IB is independence and objectivity. You have to use reasonable care and judgment to achieve and maintain independence and objectivity in your professional activities. Meaning you can't let things improperly influence your professional judgment. And crucially, you must not offer, solicit, or accept any gift, benefit, compensation, or consideration that reasonably could be expected to compromise your own or someone else's independence and objectivity.
Okay, so the classic example is an analyst covering a company.
And the company offers them, say, an all-expenses-paid trip to a resort conference.
Yeah, that looks bad.
It does. Accepting that could make it seem like your research report might be biased. Standard IB says you likely have to refuse it. It's about appearance, too, not just actual bias.
What about if you own stock in a company you cover?
That's a potential conflict, too. You need to make sure your analysis stays objective. Disclosure is often key here, letting people know you have that holding so they can judge your objectivity.
Right. Okay, I see.
IC is misrepresentation. Pretty straightforward. Don't knowingly make any misrepresentations relating to investment analysis, recommendations, actions, or other professional activities.
So no lying or misleading people.
Exactly. Don't overstate your past performance in marketing materials.
Or claim you're an expert in, say, derivatives if you're really not.
Definitely not. Even selectively presenting data to make things look better than they are could be a misrepresentation. It has to be fair and accurate.
Okay. And the last one in this section, ID.
ID is misconduct. This is broader. You must not engage in any professional conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, or deceit, or commit any act that reflects adversely on your professional reputation, integrity, or competence.
So this covers more than just investment-specific stuff.
It can, yes. For example, personal financial fraud, even if unrelated to your job, could reflect badly on your professional integrity and violate ID.
What about things like plagiarism in a research report?
Oh, absolutely a violation. That's dishonest and reflects poorly on your competence and integrity. Basically, any behavior that undermines trust in you or the profession could fall foul of ID.
Okay, that's section 1, professionalism. Now, section 2, integrity of capital markets.
Yeah, this is critical for market trust. Standard TIA is material non-public information.
Ah, the famous MNPI or insider trading rule.
Essentially, yes. Members and candidates who possess material non-public information that could affect the value of an investment must not act or cause others to act on that information.
Let's break down material and non-public again. Material means
Information is material if its disclosure would likely impact the price of a security, or if a reasonable investor would want to know it before making an investment decision.
and non-public.
Means it hasn't been disseminated broadly to the marketplace. It's not out there for everyone to see yet.
So classic example. You're an executive. You know your company's earnings are going to badly miss expectations before the public announcement.
That's material, and it's non-public. You cannot trade your company stock, and you can't tell your friend, hey, you should sell XYZ Corp stock right now. That's causing others to act. Both are violations.
Crystal clear. What about IB?
IIB is market manipulation. You must not engage in practices that distort prices or artificially inflate trading volume with the intent to mislead market participants.
So trying to mess with the market prices.
Exactly. Like spreading false rumors online to drive a stock price down so you can buy it cheap. That's manipulation.
Or those pump and dump schemes.
Classic example. Or wash trading, where someone trades back and forth between their own accounts to create fake volume and attract other investors. That's prohibited too. Anything designed to deceive the market.
Okay, integrity of capital markets covered. Now, section 3, Duties to clients. This feels like the heart of it for many roles.
It really is. And Standard 3A, loyalty, prudence, and care sets the tone. You have a duty of loyalty to your clients and must act with reasonable care and exercise prudent judgment.
Critically.
You must act for the benefit of your clients and place their interests before your employers or your own interests. Clients first.
So if investment A pays me a higher commission, but investment B is actually more suitable for the client,
You recommend investment B. Loyalty and suitability trump your compensation. You also need to manage their assets with the same care you'd take with your own. That's the prudence and care part.
right? Next is thine AB, fair dealing.
Yes. You have to deal fairly and objectively with all clients when providing investment analysis, making recommendations, taking action, or engaging in other professional activities. No playing favorites.
Meaning if I have a hot stock tip or recommendation.
You need to disseminate it to all clients for whom it's suitable in a fair way. You can't just call your biggest client first and let them trade before everyone else. That wouldn't be fair dealing.
Okay, makes sense. 3T is suitability. This one seems quite detailed.
It is, and it has two parts. The first part applies when you're in an advisory relationship. First, you need to make a reasonable inquiry into the client's situation, their experience, objectives, risk tolerance, constraints.
Get to know the client, basically.
Exactly, and you need to update that info regularly. Then, before you recommend anything or take action, you must determine that it's suitable for that specific client's situation and consistent with their objectives, and it has to be suitable in the context of their total portfolio.
So it's not just about the single investment, but how it fits overall.
Precisely. You need that holistic view. You ask them about risk tolerance, time horizon, financial needs. You can't just recommend a volatile small cap stock to someone nearing retirement who needs stable income. It wouldn't be suitable.
And the second part of suitability.
That applies if you're managing a portfolio to a specific mandate or style, like a low-risk income fund. In that case, you must only recommend investments or take actions that are consistent with the stated objectives and constraints of that portfolio.
So if it's a low-risk bond fund, no buying super speculative junk bonds, even if you think they might pay off.
Correct. You stick to the mandate you were given.
Standard 3.
Performance presentation. When you communicate investment performance information, you have to make reasonable efforts to ensure it's fair, accurate, and complete.
No cherry-picking the good results and hiding the bad.
Exactly. Don't mislead people about how well you've done. You should try to comply with things like the GPS standards, though that's a whole other topic, but the principle is fair and complete presentation.
Anyway. And lastly, for duties to clients.
30. Preservation of confidentiality. Keep information about current, former, and prospective clients confidential.
Unless
Unless the information concerns illegal activities by the client or disclosure is required by law, like a court order, or the client or prospective client gives you permission to disclose it.
So don't gossip about client finances.
Definitely not. But if you suspect your client is laundering money, for instance, confidentiality doesn't prevent you from reporting it to the authorities. In fact, you might be required to.
Okay, that wraps up duties to clients. Moving on to Section 4, duties to employers. First up, IVAA.
Similar concept to client loyalty, but now towards your employer. You must act for their benefit and not deprive them of your skills, divulge confidential info, or otherwise cause harm to your employer.
So no setting up a competing business on the side using their resources.
Absolutely not while you're employed there. Or taking proprietary information like client lists or trading algorithms if you leave. That's a breach of loyalty.
Okay. IVB, additional compensation arrangements.
This says you can't accept gifts, benefits, compensation, or consideration that competes with, or might reasonably be expected to create a conflict of interest with your employer's interest unless you get written consent from all parties involved.
Written consent from my employer and the person offering the compensation.
Yes, both. So if a broker offers you kickbacks for sending trades their way, you can't accept that secretly. Your employer needs to know and approve in writing because it could conflict with their interest in getting best execution for clients.
Got it. Transparency is key. IVC is about supervisors.
Right. Responsibilities of supervisors. If you supervise people, you must make reasonable efforts to ensure that the people subject to your supervision comply with applicable laws, rules, regulations, and the code and standards.
So managers have a duty to try and prevent violations by their team.
Yes. This means having adequate compliance procedures, training people properly, and making reasonable efforts to detect and prevent violations. You can't just turn a blind eye.
Okay, that's Duties to employers. Section V, investment analysis, recommendations, and actions. VA.
Diligence and reasonable basis. This requires you to exercise diligence, independence, and thoroughness in your investment analysis, recommendations, or actions.
Sure.
And you must have a reasonable and adequate basis, supported by appropriate research and investigation, for any analysis, recommendation, or action.
So do your homework thoroughly.
Basically, yes. Don't recommend a stock based on a rumor you heard. Dig into the financials, understand the business, the risks. Use credible sources. Have a solid foundation for your conclusions.
VB is about communicating with clients.
Yes, several parts here. First, disclose to clients and prospective clients the basic format and general principles of the investment processes you use. Let them know how you make decisions.
And tell them about changes, too.
Yes, promptly disclose any material changes. Second, disclose significant limitations and risks associated with your investment process. Don't just sell the upside.
Be realistic about the risks.
Third, use reasonable judgment to identify which factors are important to your analysis and recommendations and include those in communications. And fourth, very important, distinguish between fact and opinion.
So clearly label projections as opinions, not certainties.
Exactly. Explain your investment approach, highlight the risks, show your reasoning, and be clear what's objective data versus your subjective judgment.
Makes sense. And VC, record retention.
You need to develop and maintain appropriate records to support your investment analysis, recommendations, actions, and other investment-related communications.
Keep good notes, basically.
Essentially, yes. Records of your research, client communications, why you made certain trades. It supports your work and demonstrates compliance if questions arise later.
Okay, Section 6, conflicts of interest. VIA is disclosure of conflicts.
This is crucial. You must make full and fair disclosure of all matters that could reasonably be expected to impair your independence and objectivity or interfere with your duties to clients, prospective clients, or your employer.
And the disclosure needs to be effective.
Yes. It must be prominent, delivered in plain language, and communicate the relevant information effectively. Burying it in fine print doesn't cut it.
Examples, like owning stock in a company you recommend.
Definitely disclose that. Or if your spouse works for a company your firm covers, or if your firm has an underwriting relationship with a company you're analyzing. Disclose, disclose, disclose.
Okay, VIB, priority of transactions.
Simple but important. Investment transactions for clients and employers must have priority over investment transactions in which you are the beneficial owner.
So client trades come before my personal trades.
Always. If you're putting in a buy order for yourself and a client in the same stock, the client's order must be executed first or alongside yours in a way that doesn't disadvantage them. No front-running client orders.
Got it. And VIC, referral fees.
You must disclose to your employer, clients, and prospective clients as appropriate any compensation, consideration, or benefit received from or paid to others for the recommendation of products or services.
More transparency. If I get paid for referring a client to a specific custodian.
You need to tell the client and your employer about that fee arrangement.
Right. Okay, last section. 7, responsibilities as a CFA Institute member or CFA candidate. 7.
Conduct as participants in CFA Institute programs. You must not engage in any conduct that compromises the reputation or integrity of CFA Institute or the CFA designation, or the integrity, validity, or security of the CFA exams.
So basically, don't cheat on the exams.
That's a big part of it, yes, but also things like sharing confidential exam information or misusing CFA Institute materials or logos, anything that undermines the program's integrity.
And finally, VIIB.
Reference to CFA Institute, the CFA designation, and the CFA program. When referring to CFA Institute, your membership, the designation, or your candidacy, you must not misrepresent or exaggerate the meaning or implications.
Be truthful about your status.
Exactly. Don't say you've passed level 3 if you haven't. Don't imply holding the designation guarantees investment performance. Represent your relationship with CFA Institute accurately and modestly.
Wow, okay. That covers all 7 standards. It's a lot, but it forms a really comprehensive framework.
It really does. And as we said at the start, these aren't just rules to memorize for the exam. They're meant to guide ethical decision-making throughout your entire career in investment management.
Absolutely. Understanding them, internalizing them, that's key, not just for the exam, but for building trust, maintaining your reputation, and frankly, contributing to a better financial industry.
Well said. And for everyone listening, we really do recommend reading the full Code and Standards document on the CFA Institute website. The examples and guidance there are invaluable.
Definitely worth the time. So maybe a final thought for everyone to ponder as they continue their studies or move into practice, how will you actively apply these principles day to day?
Yeah, think about the specific ethical challenges you might face. Where will knowing Standard 3 AIA on loyalty or VAA on disclosure or IIA on MNPI really make a difference in helping you navigate a tricky situation and make the right call?
That's a great question to consider. How do you make these standards come alive in your own professional life? That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for tuning in.